Chapter 45. Celeste dragged her feet as that nasty crook pushed her down the empty hallway. She tried everything short of screaming to get away from this wolf Catherine called JR. She dragged her feet, she squirmed, she tried to catch the eyes of people who walked past, but JR's arm was an inexorable bulk of muscle. She couldn't fight him, and she wasn't even sure if JR was aware she had been trying. As for the people they passed, Catherine always alerted him they were coming with that blasted scanner of hers. Before they'd see him, JR would shrink into the shadows to avoid them, and it was easy at this time of night, when the workday was done for most everyone. She could have screamed for help, but JR had a knife at her back. She doubted it was for show. So on she went, step by step, getting closer to the laboratories and betraying Max's trust. She had to think of something. She had to stop them. "In here, Mr. JR." Catherine stopped in front of the arched MFP Research Laboratory sign. "The signal's getting stronger and stronger." No, you can't make me." Celeste pulled against JR's grasp. JR gripped her arm. "Shut up." He pulled her to the door and pressed her hand against the handprint scanner. The door whooshed open. He pushed her inside, through the ultraviolet sterilizer, and toward another door. "No!" Celeste tried to pin her hands to her sides, but JR pulled her arm up and pressed her hand against the other handprint scanner. Warm red light ran over them. "Unauthorized personnel detected," the computer said. Celeste smirked at him. "Try to get through this." Keeping hold of her, JR pulled a card from his belt and plugged it into the scanner's ports. "Adding unauthorized user to guest list," the computer said. "Verbal user access ID required to complete this action." JR glared at her. "Well?" Celeste bit her lips together. She wouldn't say a word. "Look, I ain't messing around anymore." JR pulled Celeste back to his chest and laid the knife's blade at her throat. She felt it shave off some of her fur. Catherine gasped. "Say it," he snarled in Celeste's ear. Until this moment, Celeste hadn't thought he'd kill her in front of Catherine. Now she knew better. "User access ID R397287. Unauthorized personnel is identified as 2 guest users," the computer said. "One-time access granted." "That's what I thought." JR pushed Celeste into the laboratory. A slit of light silhouetted the lab's furnishings and glinted off the glass beakers and test tubes. It was empty. Celeste hoped it would be filled with scientists, but everyone had left for the day. "Cat, find the lights," JR said. Celeste heard Catherine patter to the wall. The light snapped on, making Celeste squint. JR glanced around at the equipment and lab. His ears swiveled. "She ain't here." He rumbled deep in his throat before turning on Celeste. "Where is she?" He shook her hard. "I don't know." Celeste shrunk away from him. "Max didn't tell me where he keeps her at nights." "You know I don't believe you." JR bared all his teeth at her. His fur rose until he looked twice his size. Celeste's knees gave way. She fell to the floor as JR's massive frame consumed her vision. Please don't hurt me." "She's over there, Mr. JR." Catherine pointed across the lab. "Huh?" JR looked across the room. His fur instantly fell. "There's nothing there, Cat." "But my scanner says so." Catherine took a moment to examine the screen. "She's there." She trotted to the wall with equipment mounted on it. "Behind this wall." A secret room. JR flung Celeste away from him as if she were trash. She rolled to a halt and tried to keep herself from bursting into tears. JR ran his hand against the wall until he found something. He slid aside a section of the wall to reveal a handprint scanner. Immediately he pulled his card from his belt. Celeste clenched her teeth. She had to do something. She couldn't let JR walk out of here with Max's silver fox. But what could she do? She glanced around for inspiration. The red paint of the fire alarm caught her attention. Of course, if she tripped the alarm, Max would have to come down to evacuate the silver fox. It was her only chance. Slowly, quietly, Celeste got to her feet as the door unlocked with a click. JR pulled it open. Through the gap between him and the door, Celeste caught sight of the silver fox sitting on a bed with her back to the door. In her hands was a spear, shedding a flickering golden glow on the surroundings. She had one hand turned upward to hold it in place and was spinning it with her other hand. The strange thing was she didn't seem to be touching it at all. The sight made Celeste pause in her trek to the fire alarm. It was a ball of pure electricity. "Kid." JR swung the door open. His booming voice jerked Celeste back to the task at hand. She kept watching them as she resumed her journey to the fire alarm. The glowing sphere disappeared from the silver fox's hands. She swung around. "Mr. JR!" She vaulted over the bed into his arms. "I knew you'd come for me." Celeste didn't have much time before JR would be ready to leave. If she didn't act now, she'd be too late to stop him. She bolted to the wall and yanked the alarm. A shrill bell pierced the silence, clattering in her eardrums. JR swung around. "Now you'll never get out of here." Celeste smiled in triumph. It faded when she saw JR charge towards her. She squeaked and dove out of his way. He didn't chase after her. "Come on, let's go." Catherine darted after him. The silver fox tried, but collapsed halfway across the room. She screeched in pain. "Kid?" JR darted back to her. "What's wrong?" "They injected... The silver fox held herself. "My muscles hurt every time I move too much." "They injected?" JR turned his puzzled glare to Celeste. "What did you do?" "Even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you," Celeste said from her place against the wall. "I don't care what you do to me anymore, as long as Max gets you afterwards." "Let's not be overly dramatic, Celeste." Max stepped into the lab beside her. "Max!" Celeste jumped to her feet. "How'd you get here so fast?" Max gave her a look. "The computer always notifies me when someone accesses this lab." Celeste shrunk down. He knew she had betrayed his trust. Without another word, he walked to the alarm, flipped it off, and picked up the phone mounted on the wall. He dialed some numbers. "Ladies and gentlemen, that was a false alarm. Please disregard. False alarm. I repeat, false alarm." The words echoed from the intercom system overhead. "There you are, you bastard!" JR growled, the corner of his lip quivering. "When I received words Terence Claiborne had hired some muscle to steal my intellectual property, I should have known you'd be along eventually." Max strode over to JR without any fear at all. "I have one question, though." Max cocked his head. "How did Terence find out about her?" "This has nothing to do with Terence Claiborne." JR's ears were flat against his skull. "Then what are you—" Max's phone beeped. A long, high-pitched tone. The emergency signal. "Hang on, JR." And to Celeste's surprise, JR did. He waited until Max answered the phone, though he did take the time to check on the silver fox. "Max, there's a break-in at the R&D department." Jordan yelled so loud Celeste could hear him over the phone. "What?" Max's ears flattened. "Stop them, now!" "That would be Vix liberating some of your top-secret items for Terence." JR stood again. "If she's working for Terence..." Max turned to JR. "What are you doing here?" "I should be the one asking the questions. What were you thinking? I let you come into my town and you pay me back by burning my building, shooting my friends, and stealing my kids?" "Your kids?" Max's ears flicked back. "Oh, wait. It was you. You're the one who took her from Julu before it got there. I did get reports you'd been hanging out there before the disaster. Did someone hire you? If not, why didn't you turn her over?" JR snarled at him, all teeth bared. "None of your business. What is your business is what you did to what's mine." "Right." Max held his hands together. "Look, JR, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was your town. I thought it was some random place you chose. I wouldn't have done it if I'd known. I'm not stupid." JR's first settled a bit. "Still, I can't let you off without teaching you a lesson, Max. And what were you thinking, injecting my kid with stuff?" "See, now we have a problem." Max picked something off of one of the tables. It looked like a blood pressure sleeve. "You seem to have some sort of claim on her, and so do I. Unfortunately, I can't let you leave with her." He strapped it on his arm. "I'm not done with her yet." Zena whimpered. She ducked behind JR. "Max, what are you doing?" Celeste's eyes widened. You can't take him on." "Listen to her, little Max," JR scoffed. "You're going to get yourself in a world of hurt." "You'd be surprised how quickly the tables will turn, JR." Max flexed his arm with the sleeves on it. "But don't worry, I won't hurt you too badly." JR snarled. He lunged himself at Max. Max stood still, a small smirk on his face. He didn't even flinch at the massive fangs and muscles barreling towards him. Rather, he stood motionless, like a tall tower in the middle of a storm. Nothing could move him. At that moment, Celeste knew she would follow him anywhere.